art offers fabulous examples of how an individual can take hundreds, thousands, if not millions of people on a voyage of self-discovery.
Two master musicians performed a concert of Indian classical and fusion music recently, and Mishal tells me it was an incredible experience for everyone in the auditorium. Let's get the full story.
Producer, composer and tabla exponent Talvin Singh joined with top-ranking sitarist Purbayan Chatterjee to present a Raga concert that brought to life the vibrant mix of heritage and innovation that's so characteristic of India.
When I hear classical, it makes me think of those serious musicians. However, Raga Ecstasy is claiming to combine both classical Indian music with fusion styles, and I'm really curious to find out how this is going to turn out.
The world-renowned duo was brought here by Nisar Pangakar.
Talvin's been popular for popularizing a subgenre called Asian Underground, which has become extremely popular in the mid-90s, early 90s, and his works with major other international artists is testimony to that. So Raga Ecstasy, really tonight you'll have a bit of both, contemporary and classical.
It's moments before the Raga Ecstasy concert starts, and I cannot wait to experience firsthand how classical Indian music meets fusion.
A raga consists of a melody based on a series of 4 or more notes. The actual notes, however, are not as important as the way in which the musicians approach them and the mood that they create. In performing a raga, the tabla player is an equal partner to the sitar rather than a mere accompanist. UK-based Talvin Singh is famous for his involvement in bringing these traditional drums to the Asian electronica scene, but he's perfectly at home in the classical style.
Talvin, what was it like growing up in London?
It's been great. You know, London is such an incredible city, and it really does feel like you're in the kind of center of the world in terms of your cultural experience.
When were you first introduced to the sounds of the tabla?
The experience really came from the temples, because I grew up in a Sikh family, and in Sikhism, you know, music is a very integral part. It's like 24/7. There's always food, there's always service, and there's always music.
As an exponent of the subgenre called Asian Underground, how did that come about?
It happened in the late 90s when the samplers were around. I was sampling a lot of my own Indian classical records, and then started sampling a lot of electro, hip-hop beats, and we started making this kind of drum and bass style with a strong Asian influence. So Asian Underground was like a new movement. It was a new way of kind of putting beats together, really.
You are known for your fusion of Indian classical music with folk music. Now, what inspired you to create these new sounds?
For me, I was never comfortable just playing Indian classical, and I was neither comfortable just playing, you know, just DJing. You know, I needed both of those elements to actually be one.
Having worked with many international artists, which particular artist stands out for you?
So I enjoyed working with people like Ustad Sultan Khan, who really pushed me and encouraged me to really go out there with my tabla playing.
What do you hope that the audience takes away from tonight's performance?
The audience is going to probably realize, you know, the kind of potential of acoustic instruments. That kind of transposition from doing something which people regard as very authentic and pure to something which is really hip and cool. I think people are going to really enjoy that, and we're looking forward to it.
Kolkata born and bred, Purbayan Chatterjee grew up surrounded by music, as his father was a highly respected sitar teacher and performed in the USA, Europe and India.
Your father played a pivotal role in you taking up the sitar. How did this come about?
I started learning singing when I was 3 years old. and there was music in my family. My dad learned from the great sitar master Pandit Nikhil Banerjee. And when I was 6 years old, my dad went on a concert tour in Switzerland, and I accompanied him. And I think I was being very naughty and running around and being up to mischief. So there was this little sitar lying around which belonged to the son of one of his students. So they gave me this sitar, and that's how I started out.
Purbayan, you are noted for combining traditional classical music with contemporary world music. What sparked this idea?
I find that living in this urban contemporary world, there are things I want to express that I possibly sometimes cannot express only with classical music. For that, I need other sounds, let's put it that way. Our Indian music, with its melodic structure, overlaid against a harmonic kind of background, which is the essence of Western music, Western classical or Western jazz music, could actually give another dimension.
His fascination with the duality of the universe has even inspired him to explore new ways of making music.
You've designed and created a new instrument, which you've called the duo. How did that come about?
South Indian Carnatic musicians had electrified their instruments way back. The mandolin was always electrified. Instead of taking a sitar and trying to modify it, I did the opposite. I started looking at guitars and see that and figure out what exactly, how the mechanism worked. So I designed an instrument which is solid body. My duo is solid body. So it is actually like an electric guitar with the neck of a sitar.
What is the meaning behind duo?
Duo, D-W-O, which was a cross between the Hindi word do, which means two, and the English word two.
How has the duo been received by both the audience as well as industry members?
Very well. I mean, it has to, it does not replace a sitar. It supplements a sitar. Natural resonant sound of the sitar is just irreplaceable, and it's so beautiful.
The theme of duality continued throughout the concert, with the two musicians evoking the contrast of light and shadow, night and day, in a performance that allowed the listener to transcend the day-to-day world.
Brilliant concept, and it certainly lives up to the actual word of ecstasy, because what Purbayan and Talvin have done in this performance has really taken us to a spiritual ecstasy that can only be experienced in music, as far as I'm concerned.
I've learned quite a lot by just watching the interaction between the two musicians, how they understand, they feel one another. It's almost like what I'm going to do next, and then I just follow you on that. That was amazing. It's a show extraordinaire.
Listening to the sounds of Talvin and Purbayan has taken me away from this concert hall here in Johannesburg to a quiet place deep within myself. I feel like I've just returned from a week-long retreat, ready to take on the world.